Donald Trump is becoming weaker and weaker every single day as he loses in court or loses support from his own MAGA voters or Republicans in Congress. It's the reason his administration is turning towards intimidation to try to enforce and impose their criminal agenda on the rest of the country. But it's not working because it is so unpopular. And we caught a glimpse of that during Donald Trump's terrible rally in Pittsburgh last night, speaking to steel workers, which backfired for a couple of reasons. But one of them was a clip that we are going to get into that is humiliating Donald Trump and is leading to a meltdown. We're going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you, leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into the moment from last night that everyone seemed to miss, and a very shocking detail about Donald Trump's deal that he announced, I want to hear from Jamie Raskin, who perfectly broke down the intimidation we're seeing out of this administration.
It's very clear that from Donald Trump on down, they are attacking the judges. They want to impeach the judges. We have Republican colleagues who have wanted posters up outside of their offices in the Cannon House office building saying wanted with the judges up there. A number of them are Republican-appointed judges like Judge Boasberg, who might be the most reviled of the judges for the Freedom Caucus. He's a Republican appointee. Bush appointed him to the court when he first got on it. He's a pillar of the conservative legal establishment, but he's a stickler for the rule of law. And anybody who stands up for the rule of law gets in their way because this is a gangster state. And, I just hope people begin to understand this is not basically a legitimate government that is sometimes doing corrupt things. This is an essentially corrupt enterprise. It's like watching The Sopranos. Every day they get up and they try to figure out how to plunder and pillage the people and the government fisc. That's what it's all about.
Jamie Raskin is hitting on what is so core to Donald Trump's presidency right now, and that is their focus on intimidation above all else. Just take a look at Donald Trump's illegal deportation plan. He knew that he wasn't going to be able to get the number of deportations that he promised, so he's now attacking any judge who will get in the way of his criminal plan. But at the same time, Donald Trump and the rest of the stooges in his administration are leaning on these big publicity stunts as a way to make up for their failures. Kristi Noem's cosplaying is a great example of this, dressing up instead of doing her job. And of course, Donald Trump is doing a similar thing with his tariffs, making ridiculous posts, turning them on and off, all to pretend that he's strong. But the opposite is true. And we saw that when Laura Ingraham, of all people, questioned the deal that Donald Trump announced last night with U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel that is contributing to the reason we saw such a humiliating clip of him that we're going to check out after we take a look at this video.
Alex, this is being described as a partnership, this deal between Nippon and U.S. Steel, but then it's described as an acquisition on the U.S. Steel website, and then it's described as a partnership, and President Trump said he will be watching over things as things proceed, as this deal goes forward. Have you seen any of the terms of this deal thus far? Like, who owns the majority stake in this company?
Laura, this is exactly where I was hoping you would start, because I'm reading all these different things. I'm trying to get deal details, and I'm hearing it's an investment. Okay, that sounds terrific. Then I hear it's a partnership. I'm thinking, wait a minute.
I cannot believe that Laura Ingraham, of all people, was willing to bring this up on her show, but it just shows how surface level everything Donald Trump says is and how weak he is. This is not an investment from Nippon Steel. This is an acquisition by a foreign corporation. This is not Donald Trump bringing these investments to America like he's promising. He's still selling us out, and he doesn't really seem to care as long as he can trot out his investments, which of course it isn't, and play pretend. It's all about the publicity with Donald Trump right now, and it's the reason he kind of recoiled when he was asked about it right here. And then we're going to check out the other clip that was so bad from his rally.
All steelworkers.
Is it an acquisition? Is Nippon acquiring U.S. Steel?
Investment. It's controlled by the United States, and more importantly, they're spending the money on brick and mortar. You can't take it. What are you going to do? Pick it up and move it to Japan? That's not going to happen. And, I rejected this about 4 times now, and when they finally got it right, I liked it a lot. And you could see how happy the steelworkers were.
So Donald Trump puts on this whole show, this whole publicity stunt. He gets all of these steelworkers in Pittsburgh to come watch him make an announcement about a tariff that he raised for no purpose, with no understanding of the implication. He made it very clear that he just came up with a number in his head. He was going to say 40%. Now it's 50. There's no actual plan. But even worse than that, he's trotting out this investment as something that it's not. It's actually an acquisition. So this is all a lie from Donald Trump. That shouldn't come as any surprise. And it's probably why we saw this little clip right here that always makes Trump so upset.
A woman is an incredible writer, actually. She understands what they call the Rust Belt.
People walking out of his rally early. And of course they are. It is a rally about a thing that fundamentally isn't happening. If Donald Trump was actually trotting out a real investment or had actually gotten something done for the steelworkers in Pittsburgh, maybe people would want to stick around. But they don't want to hear the lie-filled rants and the strange ramblings of Donald Trump attacking our allies while he's probably hyping up Saudi Arabia like he did last night, talking about securing $11 trillion in his overseas trip, which didn't actually happen. The only thing Donald Trump secured is really just a plane for himself. That's what Donald Trump is focused on. It's not America first. It's the world helping exclusively Donald Trump first, bribing him while the rest of us deal with the consequences. And that's exactly what Jim Acosta went into more detail breaking down in this clip right here.
And the independent journalist Jim Acosta. Jim, you know, one of the things about this tariff thing and upsetting all of our trading partners, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, but this whole issue of Canada and others thinking about not continuing with the F-35 project. This is more than trade and tariffs. This is people who are feeling deceived and cheated by the United States, people who are stuck by the United States, military allies. It's a dangerous world out there, and this is creating rifts where rifts are not needed.
No, absolutely, Ali. I mean, I think this is a very dangerous moment for the country. The president of the United States is alienating our oldest, most loyal allies, people like Canada, people like the folks over in Western Europe. And look at who he is giving, just a pass time and again, Vladimir Putin. And so you're absolutely right, Ali. What is happening right now in terms of the U.S. relationship with Canada, where he continues with these cockamamie ideas that Canada is going to become part of the United States and so on, it is absolutely alienating our friends to the north. And, I talk to diplomats, I talk to military leaders, they reach out to me from time to time. And I was just speaking with a retired general who was overseas in Western Europe just this past week. And he told me that our allies over there in Western Europe are absolutely freaked out by the way Trump has been throwing his weight around the world. And it's not only his foreign policy, it's not only his dealings with Vladimir Putin, it is this tariff policy. And it's the reason why you have the taco trade that is so popular down on Wall Street, because it's basically the only thing that makes sense right now. It's the only way you can make sense of this upside down world that Donald Trump has thrust us into. Even when Elon Musk is standing there in the Oval Office and he's departing the administration, I was talking to a Trump advisor the other day who said that Elon Musk had a sell-by date, but he was not a head of cabbage, Ali. He was more like expired ultra-pasteurized milk. At some point, you got to throw that stuff out.
Jen, the taco trade. Taco stands for Trump always chickens out. It's why the markets and the bond markets have not fully imploded, because Donald Trump says things that should make the markets implode, and then they say, you know what, he's going to change this. He's going to reverse it. Jamie Dimon said something this week in which he said, we probably should be worried about China. It's a real adversary and got real challenges with it. But really, we should be worried about what's going on here. The instability in America is probably a greater challenge to the world right now than China is.
Absolutely. And part of the problem with taco is that if you're an investor, if you're an entrepreneur, why would you invest in the United States? Why would you build a new plant? Why would you plan a future down the road more than a day or two? You can't plan and grow an economy with such uncertainty. One of the problems, one of the reasons why Jamie Dimon was so freaked out is America has always been a financial refuge because it's been stable. People want to park their money here. And if they don't, if they want to sell out on bonds, on the market, suddenly we're going to have a real debt crisis. Debt is going to become more expensive. growth is going to slow. There's a whole cascade of issues that happen because Trump is making us into a lesser economic power. For decades, we've enjoyed supremacy as the premier safe economic haven.
Yep.
We're the generation of industry, with generation of science and economic technological breakthroughs. He's savaging that by going after grants to colleges, which do research. So in every way, he is weakening and undercutting the United States. And we're beginning to see the ramifications. These students who are being thrown out, foreign professors, they're going to go elsewhere. Research dollars will go overseas. Investors will find other places to put their money. Investors will find other bonds, other financial ways to expand. So this is a self-own that we have never had. We've never had a president who has so damaged the American economy, the American international status, as Jim was saying, our financial strength, our military strength, in such a deliberate pattern. And as a result, we are facing really an unprecedented voluntary diminishment of our policies. And the rest of the world looks at us and thinks we're nuts. And to some extent, we are. And that's because we have a president who is completely out of control, who is ignorant, and who is surrounding himself by nuts themselves. When you have people like Luddick, who is now a synonymous term for liar, and is propagating all kinds of nuttery and just absolute falsehoods about the economy, about trade, the rest of the world says, okay, thanks, but no thanks. We're going to park our money elsewhere. We're going to try to carry on as best we can. And, I just came back from Western Europe. It's a good thing, frankly, that we have allies that we do, because you see in Germany, you see in the UK, you see in France, that there are responsible pro-democracy leaders who are trying their best to hold down the fort vis-a-vis Russia and Ukraine, who are trying to work out some kind of trade arrangement. And then, of course, you have Canada, who just had the King of England there to defend the autonomy of Canada. That's the kind of mixed up world we're in, where it's now Prince Charles against the United States. I mean, it's really
and the English monarch is on the right side of the equation, unlike at the founding of this country.
Donald Trump's policy isn't just not America first. It is America at the expense of Donald Trump engaging with foreign governments who want to buy him for their own sake, so he sells all of us out. I know that's not as nice of a slogan. We can just call it corruption and greed, but that's what's happening. And that's probably why he doesn't like our allies, because they expect the partnership to be the partnership, not the bribes of Donald Trump. So maybe if Mark Carney was willing to buy him a boat, he'd be a little happier to help Canada, but that's not how this should go. And we're going to be calling that out, of course, on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.